Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namah Pankajanaphaya Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavat Gita as it is, Chapter 1, entitled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra, reading from texts 2, 3 and 4. Text 2. Sanjaya Vacha Drishtva tu Pandavanekam Vyudham Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upasangamya Rajavachanam Abravit. Translation. Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Text 3. Pasyaitam Pandaputranam Acharya Mahatinchanam Vyudham Drupadaputrana Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Translation. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Text 4. Atrashura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Vyudhana Viratascha Drupadascha Maharathaha. Translation. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yudhana, Virata and Drupada. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swaminiti Namine Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayane Gaura Katha Dhamadaya Nagara Gramatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we continue on with our detailed and deep study of Srimad Bhagavat Gita as it is. By Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are able to understand the deep meanings behind these words that Sanjaya chooses to speak to Dhritarashtra. This text too, we know that Sanjaya is speaking because in the first verse, Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya, his secretary, charioteer and friend, who was given special vision by Vyasadeva, that what did my sons and the sons of Pandu when they assembled at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what did they do? So when he inquired like that, now Sanjaya is responding to that question. And he's saying that, oh my dear king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. So Sanjaya is, Srila Prabhupada so beautifully explains in the purport. I mean, if it was not for Srila Prabhupada's purports, we would, just think that this is just a nice 3-line explanation. Nothing more serious to it. Duryodhana saw the military formation and he went and spoke to his teacher. But there are some very deep meanings in the words that are chosen here by Sanjaya, which is very expertly explained by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. So we will try to understand that. The first thing is that Sanjaya, we need to understand the position of Sanjaya. Sanjaya was a pure devotee of the Lord. And at the same time, he was the friend and the charioteer, the only kind of the constant companion of Dhritarashtra, so to speak. Because, Dhritarashtra hardly had anybody he could call his friend. Srila Prabhupada reveals that in a lecture to the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavat Gita, Prabhupada's lectures, Prabhupada is mentioning that Dhritarashtra was such a pitiful soul. He really did not have anybody to claim as his friend. Whoever came to him, be it Vidura, be it Bhishma Pitama, or be it even his wife, Gandhari, they all came to give him good counsel, to always correct him, to always, say that he is doing wrong and he is doing things out of attachment. Vidura, Bhishma, Pitama, anybody who would come to see Dhritarashtra, this was the only thing that they would come and tell him, to do, even his own wife, Gandhari. So Dhritarashtra was always very frustrated. He was always very sad. He knew in his heart of heart what he was doing is wrong, but he never had even another soul to call his own friend except for Sanjaya. So Sanjaya would always kind of be there for Dhritarashtra. And when Dhritarashtra would need to go for a ride on his chariot or just to sit down and talk, Sanjaya would always be there to listen. So he was very compassionate upon the king, Dhritarashtra. He would always feel for the king. He was very compassionate to the king, actually. But Sanjaya, being the person he is, how much of a compassion you may have, whatever you may have, but, devotees always speak the truth. They might give it in a very palatable way, but they do speak the truth, and that's what Sanjaya is exactly doing over here. He is mentioning to Maharaj Dhritarashtra, he's saying that he's firstly addressing Duryodhana as king. So that in itself, he has won over the confidence of Maharaj Dhritarashtra. He is saying that, he is proving by his own words and action that he is on the side of Maharaj Dhritarashtra and that he is in favor of Maharaj Dhritarashtra. At least he's showing by his words, and that's so that, later on whatever he narrates, that the king would have faith in Sanjaya's words. So he's trying to win over the confidence of Maharaj Dhritarashtra. So he's addressing Duryodhana as the king. And although, and Srila Prabhupada actually starts off the purport by a very strong statement, and Prabhupada mentions that Dhritarashtra was blind from birth, and Prabhupada saying that unfortunately he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well also that he had given this inheritance to his sons. So, in his first verse, there was a little doubt that Dhritarashtra had exclaimed, the way he talked about it, that he was thinking that the holy place of Kurukshetra would have an influence over his sons. But Sanjaya is assuring him by this answer that no, my dear king, that your sons are as blind as you also are, and they are going ahead with the war, that they are not stopping the war. Because, he was thinking that maybe the, positive influence of the place, the pious place, might affect his sons. So although, Sanjaya therefore actually wanted to encourage the king and thus assured him that his own sons were not going to make any kind of compromise with the Pandavas and that they were going ahead with the war. So, Sanjaya is mentioning here to Dhritarashtra that after seeing the military arrangement of the Pandavas, King Duryodhana, he went to talk to the commander-in-chief. Now here, a very important point Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that although Duryodhana is mentioned as the king, but still the king is always under the guidance of the Brahmana, of the commander-in-chief. Even though the king is present personally on the battlefield, but still he goes for war counseling, he goes to his teacher or his commander-in-chief, Dronacharya. So that point is also very beautifully emphasized here by Srila Prabhupada, that we may be king or whatever, but we are still inferior to the commander-in-chief, to our spiritual master. So we should always be mindful about this. And Dronacharya here is the commander-in-chief of the Kauravas, and King Duryodhana went after he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas, he went to talk to the commander-in-chief, what is going to happen, what is going to be their strategy, and what is he going to do, going forward. And Prabhupada mentions here in just one word that Duryodhana was a very, very expert politician. But Prabhupada also does mention one other point, which is not mentioned here in the verse at all, but Prabhupada is mentioning here in the last line of the purport. Very significant that although Duryodhana is expert politician, he's addressed here as the king, but just by seeing the military arrangement of the Pandavas, that really shook him, that really made him very fearful. Whatever diplomatic veneer Duryodhana had, it could not disguise the fear that he felt when he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas. So Prabhupada very, very clearly states this, that Duryodhana was definitely shaken. Which brings us to the next verse, text 3. Duryodhana is saying to Dronacharya, O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Now here, this previously Prabhupada made this comment about Duryodhana, that he is a very, very, very shrewd politician. It is completely befitting that description for Duryodhana, because he is a great diplomat. He is a very, very shrewd and cunning kind of a diplomat. And he being in that position, Duryodhana is now coming to his teacher, and in a very, very, ridiculing way, in a very condescending way, he is addressing his teacher, and he's pointing out the defect or the mistake in his teacher. How he is doing that is explained here. He is saying Duryodhana is telling Dronacharya that look at this great army that is done by the sons of Pandu, which is actually so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Now the son of Drupada is Drishtadyumna. So Duryodhana could have straight away taken his name, but straightly arranged by Drishtadyumna. No. Why he didn't do that? Because he wanted to remind who Drishtadyumna was. There is a big history to this, and Duryodhana, just by saying these two words, Drupada Putrena, by using these two words, Duryodhana is reminding Dronacharya of the defect or of the mistake that he has committed. And that mistake takes us back into history to the childhood of Dronacharya. When Dronacharya was in Gurukula, he was studying in the Gurukula, and he had one of his friends was Drupada. He was a crown prince, Drupada, and Dronacharya was the humble son of a regular Brahmana. Dronacharya was just a regular Brahmana boy. But in due course of time, both of them became very fast friends. Drupada and Drona became very, very good friends in the Gurukula. And in the excitement of, newfound friendship and, in the immaturity of the age, Drupada actually made a promise to Drona in the Gurukul by saying that, my dear friend, Drona, whatever I possess, half of it belongs to you. You have right over half of my property. Whatever belongs to me, half of it is yours. Now, Drupada, we don't know if he meant it or not, but Drona took it very seriously. He accepted it because he is a Brahmana, and a Brahmana is very, very pakka of his words. Anything that escapes the words of the mouth of the Brahmana always becomes like Brahman Satya. Everything that comes out of the mouth of the Brahmana is to be the truth, is like the absolute truth. So therefore, Drona took it to be true. And due course of time, both of them grew up. They, graduated from the Gurukula. Drupada went to his kingdom, and, Drona came back to his family. He got married, and he had a child. And one time, and because of the extreme poverty that Drona was in, he was not even able to give milk, provide for milk for his only son, Ashwatthama. And he remembered at that time, in that state of poverty, Drona remembered the promise of his dear friend Drupada. So, Drona, he actually went to the kingdom of Drupada. And he approached over there and he said, "Oh, my dear friend, Drupada, do you remember me? I'm Drona." And when he said that, Drupada actually had even forgotten who Drona was. And then after, of course, being reminded upon repeatedly, Drupada remembered that, yes, this is Drona and we were in the Gurukul together and things like that. And then Drona just said that you had promised that whatever belongs to you is half mine. So I have come to ask you what rightfully belongs to me. But I didn't want half your kingdom, but just give me one cow, because my son is undergoing so much of, tribulations. I want to give him milk. So can you just give me one cow from your Goshala? And Drupada was very arrogant and very puffed up. And he insulted Dronacharya, and he said that if you would have just come to me as a Brahmana and begged for a cow, I would have definitely given to you. But because you are coming here and posing to be my friend and this and that, and all these things you're telling in matters of childhood, I must have just said, how can you take that seriously? And Drupada just insulted Dronacharya left, right, and center, and Drona was heavily insulted. And he felt really bad about it, and he did not return to his family. And what he did was he actually went to the kingdom of Hastinapur, where he started giving training to the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And, there were little boys at that time, and he started training them. And when they were ready for graduating, that time as Guru Dakshina, Dronacharya asked that, Drupada should be brought to him in, bound up. As a slave. Drupada should be brought in front of Drona. The Kauravas went first, headed by Duryodhana, and they suffered miserably. They were, they very badly lost the battle, and they came back in shame. They came back to Drona. And then Arjuna, the dearmost disciple and the most qualified disciple of Dronacharya, led the next battle with the 5 brothers. Now when Kauravas went, they actually went with a huge army. The entire Kaurava army actually had gone. And they got defeated by Drupada. And this time, only the 5 brothers, the 5 Pandavas, only them, no army, nothing. Only the 5 brothers went to capture Drupada and to bring him back to Dronacharya. And very much, they did succeed in that. They did capture Drupada, and they brought him tied up in hands and legs. They brought him at the lotus feet, and they just threw him at the lotus feet of their guru, and that they had given their guru Dakshina in this way. And Dronacharya at that time said to Drupada that, my dear friend Drupada, now your kingdom belongs to me, right? Because, you have lost your kingdom to my disciple. So therefore your kingdom belongs to me. But you may have forgotten, your promise as a child that whatever belongs to you, half will go to me like this, but I will uphold that promise. So your kingdom, half will stay with me, half will go to you. And from your side of the kingdom, from your side of the Goshala, I will take 1 cow, because I had promised my wife Kripi that I am going to bring a cow from my friend's Goshala. So from that half kingdom's, from that half kingdom's Goshala that you have, from your Goshala I will take 1 cow and I will bring it back to my wife for my son. Many, many years had passed by in this whole time, but Dronacharya did, take his revenge, but, and then finally he went to his wife and he gave that cow and whatever. All that happened, but Drupada was heavily insulted. He felt very, 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 very insulted. And as a Kshatriya, insult is worse than death for them. So he actually did a lot of tapasya, a lot of penance, and from fire, from the Yajna Kunda, from the fire, he obtained a son. He performed the yajna so that he could get a son who would be the cause of death for Dronacharya. So in this way, Drishtadyumna was born from the fire. And his sole purpose in life was to kill Dronacharya. That was the purpose for which he was born. And everybody in the entire creation actually at that time knew about this. And when, Drishtadyumna, he actually came out as a, not like a baby, but a youth. He came out as a youth. And at the same time, Drishtadyumna's sister was Draupadi. So Drupada was blessed with these 2, 1 boy and 1 girl, who came out in their youth. So Drishtadyumna was actually immediately sent by Drupada. He was sent to Dronacharya to take, shiksha in the art of fighting, in the art of warfare. So Dronacharya knew very well that why Drishtadyumna has taken birth, why he has appeared, but still, as a Brahmana, he did not distinguish when a person came to him for learning, That is the quality and the magnanimity of a Brahmana. Srila Prabhupada explains that in this purport. Prabhupada says that how beautiful the nature of a Brahmana is, that although Dronacharya knew that Drishtadyumna would actually be his death, would actually kill him later on, but still he imparted all his, warfare secrets to Drishtadyumna. He was the guru of Drishtadyumna. He taught Drishtadyumna everything. So that is why Duryodhana, being the expert and the shrewd diplomat, politician that he is pointing out this mistake of Dronacharya. By calling Drishtadyumna, by not saying Drishtadyumna, by saying Drupada Putrena, by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada, look at him, he learned from you. And now he is arranged the military, the entire military of the Pandavas, he has arranged that in such an expert way. Look at all this. You should not have done this. And the next verse, again, Duryodhana is saying that here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yudhana, Virata and Drupada. Again, he is bringing up Drupada, but there is a specific reason why Duryodhana is bringing up Bhima and Arjuna, because he is actually scared of Bhima and Arjuna. Duryodhana is superbly scared of Bhima and Arjuna. He knows the potency of Bhima and Arjuna. And, in those days, the words of a Kshatriya, when they make any kind of a promise, they will make sure that they fulfill it. So especially Bhima, he had made 3 promises. The first one was that he is going to kill all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. He is going to kill each and every one of them. That was his first promise. Second promise was that he is going to tear open the chest of Dushasana and drink his blood and rip apart his arms, because he actually had done the voracious crime of, his arms had pulled on the robes of the chaste lady Draupadi and had touched her hair, her robes. All such great insult upon that chaste lady was done by Dushasana. So Bhima's second promise was that he is going to rip apart the chest of Dushasana and drink his blood and rip apart his arms and take his blood and, smear it on the open hair of Draupadi. That was his second promise. His third promise was that he is going to break the thigh of Duryodhana. That was the third promise, because Duryodhana, when Draupadi was brought into the assembly of the Kurus by Dushasana, Duryodhana, in his great pride, he had actually displayed his thigh and motioned Draupadi to come and sit on his thigh. So that time Bhima was furious. He was furious, and he had vented this fury within himself. He had kept this fury vented within himself for 13 years of the exile that they had. And this battlefield would be the outburst of that fury. And Duryodhana very well knew that this is going to be the end of it all. So that's why he's taking the name of Bhima. The reason why he's taking the name of Arjuna is because in the 13th year of the exile of the Pandavas, when the Pandavas were actually at incognito in the kingdom of Virata, in the last bit of the exile, the Kauravas had actually attacked the kingdom of Virata, and Arjuna was the charioteer of the crown prince of that kingdom as Brihannala. He was the charioteer. And when he came, Arjuna single-handedly had defeated each and every one of the Kauravas, including Bhishma, including Duryodhana, Karna, Dushasana, everybody, Dronacharya, everybody was there in that battle also. And Arjuna had single-handedly defeated each and every one of them. So the only two people that Duryodhana feared in this battle of Kurukshetra was Bhima and Arjuna. So that is the reason why he is taking the name of Bhima and Arjuna, and he's saying that again, you, my dear teacher, you have first of all, taught everything to the son of Drupada, Drupada Putrena, Drishtadyumna, who is now the commander-in-chief of the Pandavas' army. But the kind of leniency that you used on Drishtadyumna, I expect you, as my commander-in-chief, you should not have the same leniency towards Bhima and Arjuna and the other Pandavas also, because everybody knew that Arjuna was the most favorite disciple of Dronacharya. So by again taking Arjuna's name, Duryodhana is reminding and telling Dronacharya indirectly that you make sure that the kind of mistake that you did, the leniency that you showed with Drishtadyumna, don't show that with the Pandavas on this battlefield. You need to treat them as your enemies, otherwise you're going to lose in this battlefield. So that was the idea that Duryodhana is, conveying to Dronacharya in these, 2 verses. Very, very expertly explained by Srila Prabhupada. I mean, every time we read these enlightened purports by Srila Prabhupada, I just feel that how grateful we are to Srila Prabhupada, that if not for Srila Prabhupada, we wouldn't be able to understand these esoteric subject matters. Otherwise, these verses, they sound too simple. It's simple fact, but Prabhupada is trying to explain to us the deeper understanding. If there's any questions, comments, any reflections? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mataji. Wonderful explanation, very insightful. I was just thinking that, you took us back in time so many years ago where the value systems were very different.
Mm-hmm.
And a vow of a Kshatriya meant so much. Yet we see, combination of diplomacy, and we also see aggression at the same time.
Correct.
And I find that very fascinating because, and then even the words that are spoken, there is an internal and an external context. So just my question is really, is the objective, and if we take this into today's value system, isn't the objective of Vaishnava to ultimately come to the platform where internals and externals align? We just become same. So what we are thinking, feeling, willing, and how we're acting just is the same?
Yes, absolutely. That is the ultimate objective. Definitely. See, some things that were common for, people of the other yugas is not common in this Kali Yuga at all. We need to understand that. And those virtues by which people lived by, like, see the virtue of Dronacharya, see all these different qualities. It's so amazing. But in yoga, all that is seriously missing. It just does not exist. It's because the people's, the quality of life of people have completely changed. They don't value anything, at all other than themselves. They don't value anything. That is the disease of Kali Yuga's people, or that is the, the inherent nature of people in this age. That is the unfortunate situation. So yes, Srila Prabhupada always says that the reason why I have created ISKCON is so that we can produce first-class brahmanas. So first-class brahmanas means that, people with such unflinching qualities, so that we can really, understand and appreciate for not only what others are doing to us, but also reciprocate accordingly. So that's something very, very important which Srila Prabhupada's training can really give us. Does that make sense?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. Mataji, I just had a very quick second question, which is we see Dronacharya's unique position where he was born as a Brahmana, but he actually is a Kshatriya by training. So how are the different parties to relate to him? Do they relate to him as a Kshatriya or do they relate to him as a Brahmana?
Well, he's Brahmana first, but even though he is Brahmana, he's his position is that of a guru, and he like Parashuram. Parashuram is actually a Brahmana. He's the son of a Brahmana, but he actually took up weapons so that he could, because the Kshatriyas had gone, unworried. That's why he had to actually pick up weapons and teach a lesson to the Kshatriyas. That's what he had done. And so, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, all these acharyas, they are, although Brahmanas, but they took up Shastra, they took up the weapons so that they could teach others, even actually great rishis and munis, even Bharadwaj, if you see, or, Vashishta, all of these acharyas, they are also very, very Vishwamitra. All these acharyas, they are brahmanas, but they are, very good kshatriyas. So they are not really called as kshatriyas, but they are still called as brahmanas. But they are, they are the ones who give training to the kshatriyas and teach them the, qualities of warfare, or everything. So that is what is the unique position of Dronacharya.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. And we see in Vishwamitra's case, he went to Dashrath to ask the Ram and Lakshman to accompany him to kill the demons.
Right.
Although he was completely empowered to do so himself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so again, he was keeping his, Brahmanas are not supposed to kill, I guess. That's
yes, because they're not supposed to be engaging in direct warfare. It's against their nature, they cannot do that. But their position is that they can train others in the art of warfare. But here, as the teacher, that's why, Dronacharya and Kripacharya were actually at one point told not to participate in the battle of Kurukshetra, but they did because they felt indebted to the throne of Hastinapur, because they felt indebted to what Hastinapur has done for them, and because that throne was being represented by Duryodhana, they had no other choice than to defend the kingdom, basically. That was their point of view, that why they partook the war of Kshetra. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very nice questions.
I have one question, Mataji. Very nice. Can I ask you?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, looks like Ashwatthama missed his father, Dronacharya, during his childhood since he was away fetching for this cow and training Pandavas. Looks like he missed his training and he missed his father's company during his childhood. Is that true?
Yes, Ashwatthama did not have the training directly from Dronacharya, but Ashwatthama was trained by his uncle. Is it uncle? Actually, Mama. Because Kripacharya, who was the friend of Dronacharya, Dronacharya was married to Kripacharya's sister called Kripi, and therefore Ashwatthama was actually trained in the battle art of warfare by Kripacharya himself. And because Dronacharya had taken, when he left home to see Drupada when Ashwatthama was a young boy, when he left home he had promised his wife that I will come back with the cow from my friend's Goshala. And because he did not have that, he could not actually go back home to his wife and son. But he actually entrusted his wife and son to his friend Kripacharya, so that, they could, he could take care of them. And once, he got the Guru Dakshina and he got the cow from Drupada, then he went and reunited with his son and wife. Like that. That was the potency of a word that comes out of a Brahmana's mouth, So that's what happened.
Very interesting. I never came across this. Very nice to know this thing, Mataji. Thank you.